presentation and thank you for your beautiful work,
Thank you
your
so
hard
much.
work throughout the past 5 days. We will move now to Team S3.
Thank you.
Can they join the panel?
How can I leave?
Yeah, you can leave.
How can I leave?
Someone is going to remove you from the panel.
Okay, I wait.
Hello, everyone.
Uh, Abdullah, how are you?
Hello. I'm doing fine. Hope everyone's having a good day.
Thank you. You have
Okay.
10 minutes, like we established with Mariam. You have 10 minutes to do your presentation. If you manage to do it in a shorter time, that would be much better. And then we'll receive the feedback from the jury, and you can take notes while they're giving you the feedback so they can give one collective answer in the end. Okay?
Okay, sure.
Go ahead. You can share your screen
Okay.
now.
Okay, can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Hope you're having a good day. We're Team S3, a group of 7 architectural and interior designers. We started looking at Hattaba, for instance, looking for themes and what's happening there. So let me get some facts on the table. Hattaba is a small district of about 13 faddans and housing for 2,000 people. It's directly adjacent to the citadel in Cairo, so it's completely lies within its buffer zone. To understand the situation of Al-Hattaba, it has several historical monuments marked in red in the layout here. It also has a significant urban form considered a heritage in itself. Also, it's home for many crafts, most dominantly the carpentry and mother of pearl inlay and khayamiyya. However, in recent years, in the several past years, the Citadel Gate in Hattaba got closed, marked here in the polygon, red polygon. This led to various issues such as financial struggle for the crafts, and everyone working in tourism is now more or less looking for something else. The streets were turned into semi-private areas for the residents since no tourists or outsiders are moving through them. Even the residents are facing threats of demolition from the government for several developmental projects and so on. However, none of them has been realized so far. Also, the building restrictions, since it's in the buffer zone of the citadel, no one can build on vacant land. It's very hard to refurbish your home or modify it or so on. However, in the recent years, several initiatives kicked in with projects that got accepted from the government. The most dominant is the project from Atharlana. It's a touristic social crafts project, mainly aiming to establish the red zones as touristic areas, so the tourists can move around Al-Hattaba, passing through the historical buildings, the green area as a crafts area, and the yellow area as a social area with some services such as police departments and so on. So we started thinking, what's next for Al-Hattaba? There's this general theme that emerged from this, that the Al-Hattaba now, as a plan for the future, has the tourists on the periphery and residents on the inside. So we started to think more about the residents, how the inner streets of Al-Hattaba can accommodate for the residents. The residents became our main stakeholders, having the craftsmen as secondary and even the neighbors and the government as secondary stakeholders. So here's our mission statement for the project. Having Al-Hattaba streets to represent the residents and make their lives easier. Our target impact is 4 axes. The first is functionality of the neighborhood for the crafts and for the residents. Second is the identity, emphasizing it as unique and pleasant. Third is the financial return for the residents. They are already drained financially because of the past years. And last is providing a leisure mood for the residents in order to give a more livable area. So our project or our scope, we started thinking that Al-Hattaba is a multi-issue area. We cannot provide one solution for Al-Hattaba to imagine it better for the residents. So we decided to solve solution issue by issue, providing an abstract guide to interventions in Al-Hattaba. So we provide prototypical solutions that are resident oriented. We will see more details about that. Next step, we started seeing the physical features of Al-Hattaba. The first theme that emerged is the additive attitude. So every solution for any problem in Al-Hattaba is used by adding something, adding a balcony, adding a stair, or so on. Second is the scattered urban form we talked about before. Third is unique topography. Hattaba has very steep topography, leading to stairs on the street and so on. Fourth is the exposed building materials. We will have more details about that in later. And fifth thing is several end streets on the layout. So here is more of a prototypical street in Al-Hattaba with some of the physical features we described earlier. So the first thing we thought about as a solution is having an urban path, how to define the path for the pedestrians and how to accommodate for the different needs. So solving a prototype of stairs in Hattaba would be having a ramp for the services and materials to reach the crafts, and having seats for the residents to have this leisure mood we're talking about. Also having communal storages in the areas between in the buildings. On the right here, we're talking about a proposed idea for Hattaba gate, mimicking the gates of Cairo and so on, which will add more details to Al-Hattaba as in more solid identity for the residents and even the neighbors. Then this is the path we're talking about. It defines the pedestrian path to manage the movement and street activities. Also, we're proposing several solutions that are inspired from the crafts, such as this flooring inspired by the seashell inlay craft. Also, the dead end areas can have several solutions. One of them is outdoor libraries. We will explore more solutions about there next. That's another solution for the dead end areas. Here we decided to use the levels as a unique thing about Hattaba. So we started, as stated earlier, the topography is very steep. So we started creating additional platforms in wood, maybe, so that the raised ones can be for more exposed activities, and the lower ones would be for the more enclosed. Also, there's this culture where every craftsman usually has a relative or a friend sitting next to them for chatting during work and so on. So we decided that every outdoor crafts area should have a seating area next to it. Also, the plant pots design can be used for space definition and can also be made of wood and seashell inlay, or maybe other material inspired by the patterns of seashell inlay, which will be totally local made. Also, there is this one area in Hattaba where there is this huge stairs. We decided it would be a great idea to have an outdoor auditorium here for the local public events, such as local football matches and so on. Next, we started looking at the buildings itself. The stated earlier, the exposed building materials directly get a cultural association with the slums and unplanned areas. Although Al-Hattaba is considered fit to live in structural manners, so it's not a slum area, it's not an unplanned area. So maybe the idea is that the external facade is not showing the real thing. So we decided it will be a great idea to just paint it in suitable color, suitable color that will be identical for Al-Hattaba. Also, maybe the doors can have keystones made of seashell inlay, or even ceramic tiles of the patterns of seashell inlay. Also, the ground material defining the path for the pedestrians, and defining areas between pedestrian or crafts outdoor areas. Also, the lighting design, having Al-Hattaba as a well-lit area at night can affect it more, especially for the cultural association with the area. Here we're proposing several outdoor furniture proposals. This is three options for the for kiosks on the pedestrian touristic route. This is on the one on the bottom left is a shading device for using khayamiyya, and we're proposing several others like foldable seating units, storage units, and even a proposal for a food cart that can be identical for Al-Hattab. The last slide I will end with is a general material mood board for our interventions using the three most dominant crafts in Al-Hattaba. First is khayamiyya fabric and its patterns. Second is wood in general as carpentry, and especially the idea of reclaimed wood, wood that's output from the workshops can be used for other interventions in the area. Last thing is the mother of pearl inlay, of course, with its pattern, with its unique patterns and so on. In this presentation, we tried to be more of have a more real approach to Al-Hattaba, responding to the residents and their needs. We hope that our goals have been met, and I would like to hear your questions.
Thank you, Abdullah. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We go with Dr. Amira.
Thank you very much, Abdullah. Thank you indeed. A very interesting presentation, and I think you managed very well to contextualize the presentation and show the context and how it's related to different features within the area. So thank you for that. That was very clear. Well done. It's interesting. I have so many questions, to be fair, and I'm trying to find how can I just put this in the right way so that it's effective for you. You can do something with it. I think what's quite interesting about your approach is that there's more of trying to connect with the people and the public realm and regenerating the area and the urban context and how we reconnect the area. I think connectivity is key here, and you're trying to do links between the peripheral area, which you have highlighted as tourists, and the inside, which is the residents. Although maybe I misunderstood you, I thought that this is something that you want to maintain. I can't understand why it should be maintained. There should be this link between the tourists and the touristic peripheral and bring it within with the residents so that this merge can happen and bringing life and also it will have an economic aspect to it when this happens. So maybe that's something you need to reconsider, that people can go within. One of the things you've touched base on at the end was, I think, what's missing in the built environment and the buildings that you're showing is people taking pride in their place, people loving the context and being able to look after it. So how are you going to be proposing interventions that people will be able to easily maintain and sustain within the region so that we not just maintain and conserve the skills, but also the built environment? One of the things you've mentioned was ramps for materials. That's what you said. You said ramps for deliveries and materials, but you have to always consider disabled consideration. Those very steep ramps that you've shown in your sketches will not, you know, a person on a wheelchair will not be able to easily navigate this. And we want it to be accessible for everything. An inclusive community should include everyone. So if you have a tourist who's in a wheelchair or a person from the residence who wants to go around and you know, explore the area and celebrate what's there, you should be allowed to do so. So be careful about this, that we should always have the right ramp inclination. And maybe you can use the topography in natural landscaping and natural ramps. I was pleased to see that at the end you said within the areas you wanted additional platforms. I would questioning big platforms of wood. I know they deal with wood within the region, but within this area. But is that enough to be used as a main material for platforms within the area? I think you need to question that sustainably. unless it's in abundance, that will be fine. But I think you need to reconsider the relationship between the tourists and the people, and how they have to connect and merge together, and they can use the same paths. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Amira. We go to Ihab.
Sorry, can I just say one thing? I think I've very much enjoyed your sketches at the end. They were great, well done. I'm always excited to see people still sketching manually. They bring things to life. Thank you very much. Sorry, Mohammed, that was a good point.
Thank you, Doctor. Ihab.
Okay, thank you for the presentation. I can see again a lot of energy, a lot of effort. However, actually, my main point it was maybe the last thing Amira mentioned, the handicap. When you mentioned the ramp, I was praying that you say the handicap, but you said materials. I was praying to have accessibility, and if I were in your shoes in such a project, in very short, just 5 days, I would hammer on just one thing. This area will be accessible for everyone. This will be the brand of this area. The universe was created in 6 days, so you cannot finish everything in 5 days in this project. And I see you have a lot of ideas in every direction, and I see that you consume your energy in a lot of directions, in many directions. If you want to win, even on a competition level, if you want to win a competition, if you want to win the support of the audience, you have to have one hero aspect. Something not necessarily the handicap, although this is something I'm passionate about, but you have to choose a point of view. You have to choose something, and you build the whole project around it. So if you as you mentioned, the topography of this area is very challenging. So our main objective is to make it accessible for everyone, residents and tourists, especially residents. I assume this area people is not very privileged. They don't have a lot of resources. So if someone, and there is a lot, handicap need some wheelchair or something like that, they will not have a high quality wheelchair. They will not have enough assistance to navigate. So this might make this area unique project. If you focus your energy and the team energy, I don't mean that you ignore the other parts, but you'll have a hero aspect. You have something that you are focusing around, and then you build the whole project around this center. This is my main point. Another small point, when you mentioned the fabric, the urban fabric, you mentioned that it's scattered. I know this is you are just describing the area, but it's not scattered. It's organic. It's built around a philosophy and logic that layers and layers of hundreds of years. So we have to respect, and we have to build on it. We cannot look it down that it's scattered and unwanted. And we need, actually, no, we need to go back to such organic. From my point of view, most of our problems now in the urban planning and these new cities, this iron grid patterns that cause a lot of environmental problems we have now. But overall, I like the effort. I join Amira since we are graduate from the same school, Cairo University. So we love sketches, we love sketching. So thank you for this, and thank you, Amira, for mentioning this.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ehab. We move to Judith.
Yes, I feel very much reminded to the Biennale in Venice. Kohlhaas did. Ja, die ganze Zeit. Sorry. The stupid homeschooling. I have to apologize.
No problem. We all live that. We
all
all have
over
that.
the world. I feel very much reminded if I hear your presentation to the Venice Biennale. Rem Koolhaas did 4 years ago, 6 years ago, and he did this wonderful book about the elements of Venice, and I really would love to see if your project gets into a kind of catalog which shows the elements of Hatab, and also maybe divides it into the new elements and the old elements, like the aspects you add to the city part and the aspects which are maybe fading or going away or disintegrating. So it's a really interesting approach you have. What I think you should think over, or what would be my question, adds a bit also to the other comments, is how you do with your project a community outreach. Who's your audience? Is it more the visitor, or is it the inhabitant, or is it both? And how would you divide that? Thank you.
Thank you, Judith. We take Erica now.
Thank you. Thank you to Abdullah and your team. I really love this presentation, I have to say. I think that the way that you took the time to zoom out, sort of wrap your arms around the entire place, and then begin to look, more detailed at where you can make improvements and center the resident. Because I think if we're going to see the kind of change that is really sort of behind a lot of these efforts, it has to have the resident, in a central position, both economically in terms of design solutions. If the residents are supported and have livelihoods that return, then a lot of else will follow. And I think the tourists need to accommodate the residents, not the other way around. And I think we've seen a lot of problematic, urban design when it is the other way around. But my question is similar to Judith's, is to help us envision the next phase of this project, how you're going to bring the resident into the design process. What kinds of resident consultations are you going to have so that these solutions that you're pitching now are actually articulated by the residents themselves? It'd be really cool to see these come out in kind of a co-created fashion. But I applaud you on the effort. I think this is wonderful.
Thank you, Erica. Abdullah, can you close the sharing screen, please?
Yes, sure.
We move to Dr. May.
Thank you. That was a lot of work, and I think I'm happy to see that you kind of looked at the area in its totality, and I like the idea of centering, putting the resident in the center, and also thinking of a tool that allows the resident to improve their living conditions and to thrive rather than to survive. I would have preferred if you focus more on the process rather than the product, that you tell us more about how this tool is conceptualized. So how do you reach out to the community? How do you assess needs? How do you identify specific problems that could have different kinds of solutions that residents can choose from? How do you create, design the toolkit in a manner so that it is understandable and usable by the resident, and so it's applicable rather than something that only kind of targets professionals, and so that they can actually add to it, etc. And then maybe focus on one item and then give us different solutions for that items, and give us a kind of scenario where we understand how residents can actually take this and make this their own and build on it. I think it would have been better to focus on the process and to show us one example that is memorable, rather than show us a lot of examples and then we can kind of, then you give us the chance, you open the door for us to nitpick and to say, well, this is not nice because of this, and we don't agree with this because of that. So one good, well thought out solution, and a well thought out process that explains how this really puts the resident in the heart of the kit. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. May. Valeria.
Hello, thank you very much for this presentation. It brought me back to the days when I studied architecture in Florence, and urban design was a big part of it. And I did like your approach from the micro to the micro. So really, really interesting. I'm going to repeat a lot of what has been already said. Love the sketches. Like Amira, I'm a big admirer of those that still use sketches. My question is about sustainability. I think has already been mentioned by Amira, but for me, it's more like sustainability of the development. Like has been said before, needs to be more thought out how the solution will meet the need of the resident, and how can what you're proposing can be sustainable in the long term. And it means sustainable economically as well as environmentally. And finally, accessibility is a big issue, is important to make any development accessible for everybody. And again, it's already been said. So, but in general, great presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Valeria, and thank you to all our viewers. As usual, Abdullah, you have 2 minutes to answer or conclude your presentation before moving to the next theme.
Erica wanted to add a comment.
Okay. I didn't
Really quickly.
Sorry, Erica.
Sorry, really quickly, if I may. I just wanted to emphasize that when you have the resident taking center stage, it's important to say, and I think you can acknowledge the importance here of accessibility and universal design by just noting that if you're dealing with a population of residents, they are a heterogeneous group of people, right? You have children, you have aging, you have men, women of all genders, and you've got a lot going on. And so if you acknowledge that, a range of ableness and disableness, if you acknowledge that in the group of residents, I think you'll put the right foot forward in terms of accessibility and universality.
Thank you, Eric. Abdullah.
Okay, I have many questions to answer. I really love such discussions. I'll try
to be brief. Just try to be brief.
I'll do my best, Radwan. Okay, so let me begin by the general things and get into details. I believe we're more focused on the resident before the tourist for several reasons. I think Judith, you asked about this. We focused on the residents because the other proposals usually put the touristic functions or the touristic zones as the main focus and solutions. So we started to complement that. So that was the main idea. On another hand, on the topic of accessibility, I surely agree. I couldn't agree more on the topic that the topic of accessibility in Hattaba can be a major one. However, our thought process in such a project was more of the what's accepted by the residents first. So of course, accessibility is needed and is an urgent case. However, our focus was to begin with on the issues that the residents say they suffer from. So we've seen cars that couldn't go into the space for the crafts. We've seen other functions happening on the narrow streets that should be accommodated somewhere else. So that was our approach. On another note, I agree with you, Dr. May, completely on focusing on the process. We definitely would have loved to go deeper into the actual process rather than the solutions. However, I think this is some kind of a designer thing. We couldn't hold ourselves back from going into solutions. So maybe that's what happened here. However, we're really interested in the methodology of such a process.
You've taken up your 2 minutes.
Okay.
Do you have anything very important that you need to say?
I have many important things. I would have loved to have more space to discuss that with the jury, so we can end on
Thank you,
that.
Abdullah. Yeah, thank you, Abdullah. We move to the last team, team number 4. Erica wants to add a comment.
No, I'm good. I already did. Thank you.
All right. Okay. We move to team 4.